Hello, my name is Mohammed, and I'll be answering Chapter 3 discussion. First question is: which layer of government, federal, state, or local, do you think was most responsible for events following Hurricane Katrina, and why? Second question is: which theory of federal, dual, and cooperative can best explain the events leading up to and after Hurricane Katrina? And for part two, this first question is: what similarities can be found in how the U.S. government responded to Hurricane Katrina and COVID-19? What do you think could have been done differently? For the first question, I said the responsibility for the events following Hurricane Katrina can be attributed to multiple layers of the government, but the federal government, particularly the Federal Emergency Management Agency (FEMA), bears significant responsibility. FEMA slow and inadequate response to Hurricane Katrina was widely criticized. The federal government, including the Bush administration, faced condemnation for delayed action and poor coordination. FEMA's director Michael D. Brown came under fire for his leadership during the crisis. The federal government's role in providing critical resources, coordination, and support during major disasters is crucial. However, its failures to deploy resources promptly, activate the National Guard swiftly, and coordinate effectively with state and local authorities to extinguish the crisis. State and local governments. While states and local governments also face challenges such as inadequate evacuation plans and overwhelmed emergency services, they relied heavily on federal support and resources during the disaster. Louisiana's government, led by Governor Kathleen Blanco, and New Orleans' local government, led by Mayor Rain Nagin, struggled to cope with the scale of the disasters. However, the federal government's responsibilities in providing timely and effective assistance when local and state capacity were overwhelmed cannot be understated. Conclusion: while all the levels of government played a role in events following Hurricane Katrina, the federal government's, particularly FEMA, holds most responsibilities due to its critical role in disaster responses and its failures in coordination, resources, and timely actions. The delayed and insufficient federal responses exacerbated the humanitarian crisis, highlighting the need for a more robust and coordinated approach across all levels of government to effectively address large-scale natural disasters. Going to the second question: cooperative federalism. This theory emphasizes collaboration, shared responsibilities between the federal, state, and local governments. In the case of Hurricane Katrina, cooperation between these levels of government was essential due to the magnitude of the disaster. Before the Hurricane Katrina, leading up to the hurricane, cooperative federalism was evident in disasters preparedness efforts. The Federal Emergency Management Agency (FEMA), along with state and local agencies, conducted drills and developed emergency plans and coordinated resources to respond to potential disasters. This collaborative approach aimed to ensure a coordinated response in the events of a crisis. During the Hurricane Katrina, when the Hurricane Katrina struck, the need for a cooperative became even more apparent. The federal government, through FEMA, worked alongside state and local authorities to mobilize resources, provide assistance, and coordinate rescues and relief efforts. However, shortcomings in coordination and communication between these levels of government hindered the response, leading to delay and insufficiencies. After Hurricane Katrina, in the aftermath of the disaster, cooperative federalism continued to guide recovery efforts, the federal government provided financial assistance, technical support, and resources to aid in rebuilding affected communities. State and local governments collaborated with the federal agencies to implement recovery programs, address infrastructure damage, and support displaced residents. Overall, cooperative federalism best explains the events leading up to and after Hurricane Katrina because it highlights the importance of collaboration and shared responsibilities between different levels of governments in preparing for, responding to, and recovering from large-scale disasters. While there was challenges and shortcomings in the responses to Hurricane Katrina, the collaborative efforts between federal, state, and local governments underscored the principles of cooperative federalism and disaster management. The third question: the responses to Hurricane Katrina and COVID 19 by the U.S. government shared several similarities, highlighting areas for improvement in disaster management and public health crisis response. Similarities: delayed response. In both crises, there was delayed in the initial responses from the government. Hurricane Katrina saw a slow activation of federal assistance, while the COVID 19 pandemic witnessed delays in testing availability, PPE distribution, and vaccine rollout. These delays contributed to the worsening of the situation and increased the impact of the disasters. Second is coordination challenges. Coordination between federal, state, and local governments was a common challenge. In between events, there were issues with communication, collaboration, and the sharing of resources. Lack of effective coordination led to confusion, inefficiencies, and disparities in response efforts, hampering the overall effectiveness of the response. Resource Resources allocation issues. Allocation and distribution of resources were problematic in both crises, whether it was medical supplies during the pandemic of emergency relief during Hurricane Katrina. Ensuring equitable distribution proved challenging. Shortage, stockpiling, and mismanagement of resources exacerbated the difficulties faced by affected communities. Healthcare system strain. Both Hurricane Katrina and the COVID 19 strained the healthcare system. Hospitals were overwhelmed, personnel were overworked, and resources were stretched thin. The healthcare infrastructure's capacity to handle large scale emergencies and public health crises were insufficient, leading to challenges in providing adequate care and support. Areas for improvements: preparedness and planning, strengthening preparedness and planning efforts is crucial. Investing in disaster readiness, pandemic responses plans, and public health infrastructure can help mitigate the impact of future crises. Enhance coordination. Improving coordination between federal, state, and local governments is essential. Establishing clear communication channels, defining roles and responsibilities, and conducting regular drills and simulations can facilitate a more cohesive and effective response. Resource management. Enhancing resources. Conclusion: while Hurricane Katrina and the COVID 19 presented distinct challenges, their similarities underscores the need for comprehensive reforms in disaster management and public health crisis responses. Addressing issues such as delayed response, coordination challenges, resource allocation, and healthcare system strain requires proactive measures, collaboration efforts, and sustained investments to better prepare for it and respond to major emergencies.